Growth in people today with autism compared to the 1980s is substantial. I recently took an online test to tell you whether you should go get medically tested to be autistic. Through a series of questions where you answer whether you do this a lot, you don't do this at all, or you're not sure, I came to the conclusion at the end of the test that based on our scale of whether being severely autistic to not autistic at all, I was right in the middle at mildly autistic. Autism has reoccurred as a popular subject, and with my credible sources as well as my personal experience, I've come to the conclusion that it's due to the broadening of the spectrum, better understanding of the differences of autism, and the research that's being enforced. Due to this expansion of what autism is, it opens the door to how common it is becoming in our society. In the 1980s, there were 4 per 10,000 people that were autistic. Now, from 2005, it was 15 to 20 people per 10,000, not including the 30 to 60 per 10,000 for all the developmental disorders of which autism is included. With that being said, 1 in 68 American children are now on the autism spectrum. And in the 1980s, there was research done of testing where multiple people were diagnosed with a language disability. Now, if those same people in Oxford College, they researched that if those same people would have been tested today with the autism test, 25% of them would have been autistic, rather than the 0% that were in the 1980s. Thus showing how much broader it's become and how much more people would fit into it today. This gives you an idea of what fits on the autism spectrum. It's not just the autistic disorder. You have the Asperger's syndrome as well, which doesn't necessarily show your delay in language or your cognitive ability, but it shows the developmental parts of the patterns and behaviors. Then you have your actual autistic disorder, where you have your serious language delays as well as your impairment in your social gatherings. And then all the way to the right, you have the pervasive developmental disorders and then the not otherwise specified. So this is, if it doesn't fall under the autistic, you can still be considered on the spectrum based off this criteria. Autism has many faces. Understanding this concept and being aware of the differences allows us to work with these kids a lot better. I currently work in an autism unit with 4 boys. All 4 boys are considered severely autistic to be in this unit. And I put a little information about each of the boys here just to show you an overview of how different each of them are. So out of the 4, 2 of them are nonverbal, but the other 2 speak very well. You have 2 that do the hand-over-hand correspondence, while you have 1 that can work completely independently by himself, can read independently, and can remember what you said 2 months ago. And then I have 2 first graders that are completely on either end. 1 that's nonverbal, 1 that is echolaic but can speak. And they each have their own quirks, but it's all very different in the sense that they're all still on the same autism spectrum. Autism doesn't only affect the learning and the social, it also includes like immune system, and then their neurological, and then GI disorders, which some have and some don't. It just differs depending on the child. And these differences make it difficult to find research methods, but nonetheless there have been many findings with autism recently. The genetic research that's been found between genes and environment, it shows that how they live as well as where they were born has a big pull on how they react and then how severe their autism is. Their neurological changes in brain structure, so it's become a lot easier to watch and see when kids become autistic and how severe it'll be, comparing it to a child that's not autistic. And then the medical researchers have also done chronic health problems. So a lot of our autistic kids have other issues on top of that, that's all linked to their autism. Autism has gained its way back to the spotlight due to the broadening, the informative, and the research, gaining the views of many, and will continue to do so.